Hello, beautiful souls. Today I'd like to share my top 4 colored pencil shading techniques I use the most often. You can learn how to create depth and dimension in your drawings with these top 4 shading techniques with colored pencils. In this video, you'll discover the most useful shading techniques that you can apply to any subject you draw. I also share some necessary tools that can help you create beautiful shading with colored pencils. Before you start drawing, place your paper on a hard and smooth surface. You can use the backing from your drawing pad to do this. Don't draw on soft surfaces under your paper because your drawings will lack definition. It's much easier to create tight shading and sharp edges drawing on paper that has a filled sketchboard underneath it. Shading is very tight and continuous, and the lines, the cross-hatched lines become almost unseen and well blended. They come in different sizes under many brands, and you can find one in your local craft store. So here are the shading techniques. Number 1, cross-hatching. Cross-hatching is the most useful colored pencil shading technique that's used to create a variety of effects in colored pencil drawings, including volume creation and blending. Hatching involves creating parallel lines or strokes to indicate shading. The lines can be closely spaced or widely spaced depending on the desired effect. By varying the density and direction of the lines, different values and textures can be achieved. Cross-hatching is similar to hatching, but it involves layering sets of parallel lines in different directions. By overlapping the lines, darker and more complex shading with colored pencils can be achieved, creating depth and volume that we all need in our art. When I cross-hatch the lines, I rotate my paper often to create tight shading with depth and volume. If you shade every object in one direction, you'll make it look flat, lacking volume. Cross-hatching is the most useful shading techniques for beginners and advanced artists. Number 2, shading with tiny circles. I often use shading with tiny circles to blend colored pencils, to soften the edges around the highlights, to make transitions between the tones, and to add colorful dimension to my art. This is a rather meticulous method. Uh, it allows for precise control in color application. Because we see no visible lines, shading with tiny circles allows artists to create subtle variations in light and shadow. Pencil pressure is important using this technique. The more pencil pressure you use, the more blended the surface will be. Usually, art students look for special tools and blending techniques for colored pencils, but most blending can be done with simple shading with tiny circles, drawing on Bristol vellum paper. Number 3, creating contrast with strong and soft edges. Creating depth with colored pencils involves artistic control of edges. Art students shade everything the same way, therefore, art lacks contrast and definition. I make a creative decision what I want to have in focus and out of focus in my art. This is where the edges come in. To define the edge, you must use a very sharp point of colored pencil. Redefine and outline the sharpest edges during your entire shading process because they tend to disappear during shading with colored pencils. Step back from your drawing to see it if the edges pop or not. I usually place sharp edges in my focal point, like around the face and so on. Not everything must have a strong edge. Some edges must remain soft and muted as we see them in real life. That's why I intentionally blend, soften, or cross-hatch some of the edges to keep them out of focus. It's one of the most useful colored pencil shading techniques. In this close-up, you can see that the forest floor has soft shading and edges. The lights are not outlined, but the wing is outlined. The wing has strong lights and edges to bring it forward more. The technique number 4, shading with grays, blending colored pencils. I love adding dimension to colored pencil drawings by shading with gray colored pencils over the previously applied color layer. It does two things. The shading technique does awesome blending without the use of solvents or time-consuming blending with pencil blenders. Second, this shading technique adds new dimension to color in my art. By making some areas less bright, I am able to control and bring forward major colors that are part of my overall composition and design. This is one of my favorite shading techniques for portraits because I can create depth with colored pencil shading over local color. Normally, I don't use stippling technique because it's too time consuming, but if you have a subject calling for it, by all means use it. So all the techniques that I outline can be used drawing any subject, landscape, still life, portrait, whatever you like. Because all of these shading techniques add depth and realism to colored pencil drawings. If you'd like to support my work, please share this video with your friends. You can also purchase one of my art instruction books available on Amazon, or if you want to learn more about colored pencil drawing, you're welcome to take my video course available on my website veronicasart.com. I appreciate you stopping by and watching this video, and I wish you all the best in your creative endeavors. And I'll see you in my next video. Take care. Bye bye.